Hello my friends, welcome to Pro Strings and this lesson 5 in the Violin for Beginners course. I'm Henriette and in this lesson today we're looking at page 15 in your book and we're going to consolidate all the techniques that we've learned so far in this course. Aren't you doing great? You've learned a lot about music theory and you can play the D and A strings really well. So in this lesson today we're going to use the whole bow and the half bow as we've done in lesson 4, and let's have a look at exercise number 5, and it's called Mississippi River. Now you can call it Mississippi River and play it like that. You can also call it short, 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 long, long. It's exactly the same thing, so pick the wording that you prefer. And it's quite handy to say the words in your head while you play, because in that way you know that you're going to play half bows and long bows and you're playing regularly. In other words, you don't speed up or slow down halfway along your piece. So we're going to start today checking our bow hold, and I want you to double check that your middle finger and your thumb are still opposite each other. Then I want you to check also that your fingers are nice and far over the bow. So if this is you, let your fingers come over a little bit further. Perhaps bend your fingers a little bit more as well, so that you've got a sort of claw-like shape in your hand like this. And as I've said before, we are improving on that bow hold as we go along. So this bow hold isn't yet the finished product, but we're working towards it. So you're doing fantastically well. Let's have your violin up on your shoulder and let's double check that your violin is at a 45-degree angle. Let's also double check that your violin hasn't gone up too high, but that it's just above the horizontal and that you've got a nice tilt towards the right. And when you've got all of that sorted, let's have your left hand like this. And let's put your bow down on the D string at the heel of the bow. And I'm going to count us in 4/4, because if you have a look at exercise number 5, it is in 4/4 time again. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Time to cross from one string to another. Well done. And as you practice this away from the video, you might want to repeat it, because you can see at the end of this tune there are 2 repeat dots at the end. So play this all over again from the beginning. One thing to be thinking about when you play this song is that as soon as you put your bow down for the first note in this song, the bow remains on the string until you have finished. So try not to be tempted to lift the bow off the string in between, like in the middle of this song, because you should be leaving the bow down as much as you can in violin playing. Initially, when you practice this song, you may take your time to lower your elbow as you go from the D string to the A string, and you may need to take your time again to raise your elbow when you go from the A string back to the D string. But as you progress, you can do that by gauging in advance where your elbow is going. And that is what I want you to practice when you play the second song on page 15. And this is number 6 in your book. You can see in this song that you play 4 Ds to start with. And that bar is followed by 2 long A's. Now, as you play the 4 Ds, I would like you to start thinking about lowering your elbow so that you get more gradually from the D string to the A string. So rather than on the bar line adjusting your elbow is going to go much more slowly up and down. So let's practice that when we play number 6. So let's get ready at the heel of the bow. We'll keep super slow. And I'd like you to check also that you play half bows. So if you still have that marker in the middle of your bow, play up to that sticker or to that pencil line, and then use the whole bow, full bows and straight bows on the half notes. So when you play long bows. Here we go, after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome, really good. And you see that when you've got repeated notes, you have got time to think ahead and to adjust your elbow levels as you go from one bar into the next one. So there are really 2 things to be thinking about, and that is your elbow levels and also your straight bowing whenever you play long bows. Now I would encourage you to keep practicing exercise number 7 and number 8 and number 9 and number 10 and 11, but I would like to play number 12 with you because a lot more is happening in quick succession there. Before we play that, I'd like to say one more thing. If you find your bow arm shaking, and it happens to a lot of people, so please don't think it's just you, it's many people, and you might even write about this below this video in the comments section, for other people to know that they're not alone when they're shaking. Many other people find this as well. But what can you do about it? If you play a long bow and you feel the shaking coming on, that indicates tension in your upper arm here, in your right arm. So what you want to do to try and get rid of it and to experience it less and less is, as soon as you feel the shaking coming on, stop the bow. Then drop your shoulder and drop your upper arm to see if you can find a bit more relaxation in your bow arm, and then continue. You see, so this might happen and you might think, oh, I can feel it coming on. Stop the bow, consciously drop your shoulder, your right shoulder and your right upper arm, and then continue. Now that will not go overnight, but when you practice that regularly, maybe in 2 weeks' time you'll think, am I shaking less now, you see? So this is how it often works with violin playing. You need to allow yourself time to work it all through, and then you'll be okay in the long run. Shall we have a go now at exercise 12? Now let's read it through before we play. And when we read it through before we play, we can see 2 half bows D, 1 long bow A, 1 long bow D, half bow A, half bow A, half bow A, half bow A. Now I'm reading these notes per bar. So for instance, when I get here, I don't say to myself it's 4 A's, because 2 of the A's are in the second bar and the 3rd and 4th A are in the next bar. So I'm reading 1 bar, 1 measure at a time. So find out where your bar lines are and see if you can think in groups of 4. And being able to think and structure your playing in this way in the long run will make your progress much faster, because we want to always try to spot where our 4 counts in our bar are. You see, we're still playing with 4/4 as our time signature, which meant there are 4 quarter beats in each bar, in each measure. You see, so we want to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So the half note, or in England we call it the minim, is 2 counts long. So counts 3 and 4 in this bar. In the next bar, we count 1, 2 for the half note, or in England the minim, and beats 3 and 4 are these 2 quarter notes A, or in England we call them crotchet notes A. You see, so I want to encourage you to think in measures, in bars, rather than following the notes. Let's play it. So before we play, do check over your bow hold, do check over your violin position, and when you're ready, here we go. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that is a good one for brain gym, isn't it? Because it will feel very strange once you find yourself playing at the point of the bow, playing an up bow as a new bar. So if you find that this very confusing, that's okay. Many people will find this song very confusing to play. Shall we therefore do it one more time? So this is our repeat, if you like. I'm setting my bow ready at the heel of the bow because I'd always like to start with my bow on the string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well done, and if you've done it correctly, you should finish at this end of the bow again. Now it may well be that it takes a few goes before you end in the correct place, and that's absolutely fine because we're practicing and there are a lot of complicated new movements in this song. So take your time. Violin players are never in a hurry to learn things, so play very slowly please, and take your time to go over things to consolidate them in your head. If you find you can't reach the point of the bow, it may be, I don't know that of course, but it may well be that your bow is not quite straight. So look, if my hand goes this way here, I cannot reach the point of the bow because my upper arm has gone too far to the right. Instead, I'd like to encourage you to bow more forward. So you stretch your bow arm forward rather than this side. You want to make your arm longer right in front. So this is the difference here. You see, my arm is now straight in front of my body. If I don't go right. So I'm hoping that I just clarified a couple of things for you. I wish you good luck with your practice, and I hope you will really enjoy being able to play so much more sophisticated stuff. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in lesson 6. Goodbye.